So he was in the incubator, and then I just saw him there, and I fell in love with him.
Oh. Hi everyone, welcome to We Are Feel. It's another new day. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for the support that you've been giving our previous videos on fitness and yoga. It has been really, really amazing. And let me introduce myself. Sorry, my name is Leah Kigondu. I'm one of the co-hosts of We Are Feel. And as you can see today, I have a full set and amazing guests. One has been here to Memzoea, but we love having her here. She has the tea. And then we have a guest who is new to our episode. So I'll first let him introduce himself and then we get to Wenye Tumezoea. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Alpha. Happy to be here. Finally, we've been planning this for quite some time.
Yeah.
And excited. I watched a few episodes and I was like, I have to be there. So finally, I'm here and ready to take over.
Thank you. Has our episodes helped you figure out something?
Yes, but don't put me on the spot because
okay, but it's good to know that it helped. Yeah. Hi. Hello. How are you? Introduce yourself to the people who have not seen other videos that you've been in. Yeah.
Hi. So hi everyone, my name is Gina. You can
Gina?
Yes, Gina. You can like the same pronunciation. I am Nim in English. But then if you've never seen me before, you can check my not my episodes, but the episodes that I have been in. Yeah. And then you can see from way back when we started, from the tea to up to now. So yeah, I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode. It's amazing. It really feels nice, like when you have other people on set and not me and one boy speaking. So people see that people have different perspectives, and also I think it kind of brings a different mood to the episode or to the podcast. So today, by the time you are watching this, to be on a Thursday, or probably you're watching it on the day that it's intended for. So the episode today is on fatherhood. And it's because we are about to celebrate our fathers on the 16th of June. And fathers have a huge impact. And people say we do not get to celebrate men in our lives. Is it a lot more than we celebrate women? I've heard people say that. And so I think but you can see we have done several episodes on fatherhood. Actually, we have one where Shimani came and talked about his fatherhood journey. We also had one where Trevor. Yeah. Sorry. Trevor came and shared his first time as a dad journey. And I feel like those were amazing. And now today we also have Alpha.
Yay.
Who is also a dad. And then us, you're going to share our perspective on our fathers and the lessons and the impact that they have had in our lives. But before we start, I'd like to know what has caught your attention the past 1 week. Something. Is there anything that has caught, or let's say past 1 month? Yeah.
For me, work-wise, yeah, it's been really great. I had been running a business since 2020. It's a food business, and I stopped beginning of the year, and I just resumed.
Yeah.
And it's been taking my time in a good way.
Yeah.
And it's growing in ways which I didn't even think it was going to. I mean, you're always scared, are people still going to reach out to you to feed them?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been going quite well.
Yeah.
And I've been getting like really good reviews from people who I serve.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm happy.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Like I'm always like, I need to taste this food, man.
Yeah.
We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Like
You need
it's
to, you
time,
need
it's
to.
time, it's time. What about you, Gina?
Well, compared to that, mine is very little. It's very mild. You know how we moved from floods to a bit of rain to now the colds. We're in June. Yo, there's one day. When was this? Actually, it's this week. On Wednesday in the morning, I left the house and it was fog. You know how you can see smoke um, if something is burning and there's a lot of smoke, you can't see ahead. That was now fog. It was that bad. Guayaquil was terrible. Like I was scared because you're like the car won't see me. So that's the only thing that caught my attention this week. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting because I feel like Juja is like cast in a way or something. Yesterday I was in Westlands and it was raining heavily.
Yeah.
And then I was on call with someone who's in Juja. Then I'm telling them I'm stuck in Westie because it's raining. Then they're like, kuna nyesha. Juja, there's no even drops,
Yeah.
And even when we were experiencing the heavy rains, yes, it used to rain heavily, but not as consistently as other places. And to some extent, I felt maybe not as much as we had like some of the roads flood, but like something that has caught my attention. So I started working in a co-working space this week. So I've been working home full time for the last 3 years, and not because I wasn't like very disciplined and concentrate on my work, but there's a way that the co-working space operates, and I feel like it has so much pressure. Because we get to the co-working space, everyone is working. Everyone's in their laptops, so serious. And the other day, like someone came sat next to me, he had like 2 MacBooks, and from 15 Pro. I was like, this is how people get treatment because he never stood up for like 5 hours. He was just at the whole time working. Me nimeenda washroom camera nne. It's like maybe am I focused or not? It really made me question, but it's really interesting because I also found that I'm able to do a lot even within a short amount of time because of that much how the environment is set is meant for you to concentrate. And I think the model works mostly if you work from home and you need like a break and maybe you're not, restaurants are a bit too distractive for you, maybe a co-working space would be a good alternative. And then it also helps you like get to meet other people that you really don't work with, and people are doing so many different things, and I think it can like spark a lot of your creativity and innovation, or like start thinking about things in a different way. So it has been an interesting journey, but the journey from here to there, not so interesting. We are working on it.
Coming here today, I was like, I've never been to this sides before.
Oh, this is the first time.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. And I came with my son and he kept asking me if you're going to see grandma, and I was like, okay, it's not that far.
Wow. We do not live in the forest, guys.
I think I saw Kwaheri Nairobi when I was coming.
We do not take that lightly. We take offense. But we really I think we stay all the way in Juja. And I feel like people have a different perspective about Juja, and this is a good place, very convenient. But we'll not say much. You have to come and experience it for yourself. And after this, Alpha will leave a review. Anyway, let's get into the conversation of the day. I would want us to share, what does fatherhood, like when you hear someone is a dad, or you hear that's my dad, or you hear, oh, that's my father figure. How does that resonate to you? What comes to mind when you hear those terms people say? Start from here.
For me, one of the best, being a dad. One of the best things that I love hearing from my son is when he says my dad.
Oh,
I love it. I love it when he says my dad. Or when he's telling someone something and he's like, oh, my dad it fills my heart with joy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't grow up with a dad, so I never got to call someone my dad, you know? Yeah, and it's one of the best feelings. And also, like me not growing up with a dad, it's an opportunity for me to like do the things which I wanted to do with my dad, with my son now. And that's why I think sometimes there's some things I do and he's like, okay, what are you doing? You know?
So it's like a form of expression of what you did not have. Now that's how you're expressing it as a dad currently. When actually I've said my dad, like the first thing that has come to mind is identity. So I think the fact that and I don't know how it relates to you, but I know in Kikuyu, someone, because you have so many, let's say you go to my dad's side, people refer me to as Njeri wa Kigondu. Now that means Njeri wa my dad. And most times people are, and there's a way we are always attached our identity to who is your dad, and that's like where the identity comes in. So when you said my dad, it felt like, oh, now like he can connect his identity to you.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What about you, Gina?
Well, for me, what dad or fatherhood, or when I hear someone is a dad, I usually think of when my dad was there. You know how there's always that notion of, if you get into the house, if you don't see your mom around, you're like, Mami ako wapi? You don't want anything to do with your mom, but you just want to find out they're there. There's that for the mom, but now for the dad, life was easy because dad handled everything for me. So like you wouldn't struggle. You just be like, tell your dad, and then he'll sort things out. You just knew everything would be okay because dad's handling it. So that's like someone who is always there for you, comes through for you. They just do everything, essentially make it easy for you. So yeah, that's what I think when I.
Interesting. I also, my dad was a pastor when I was young. So it's interesting that when we're all sitting here, our dads are not there, but that means they had an impact, and that's why we're sitting here. So my dad, when I hear the word dad, for me, it shows guidance. It also reflects a lot of identity, because I think it's because a lot of people, even from my mom's side, identified me to my dad. So a lot of people attach that to who my dad was, and the interaction that he had. And so for me, fatherhood kind of signifies identity, and also just like from a religious point, when you say God is my father, it creates an identity of sonship or like daughtership to him. So that is, I think, the biggest part of it. And then also, like, it gives me so much joy to see a dad and his sons or daughters. Like, I usually tell, like, boy, I like watching Rooming Chef. When he posts his son and his daughter and he's playing with them, and it gives me so much joy. And then because I know he mostly posts them on the weekend, I'm usually just there checking. And I don't know, like, just seeing him have that relationship is just so beautiful. Yeah. You want to add something? Okay. Yeah. So tell me a story, a fatherhood story, a story maybe you remember about your dad, a story of your an experience that you've had with your son. So tell me a fatherhood story that you'd want to share with the rest of the world.
Well, for me, I hope it doesn't go too deep. But when Alex's mom was pregnant, she had a few complications, and some of them. So there's this time we went to do like a scan, and the doctor was like, his lungs haven't developed fully. And then the doctor recommended we go to a clinic to do steroid treatment and like to make the lungs go faster.
Yeah.
And I remember that night I went. I think that's the first time I connected with him because I was a ball. I was in a ball, and I don't know. Something just told me like, okay, like why don't you seek like a second opinion?
Yeah.
So I did, and nothing was wrong. And I think it was a scam.
Yeah.
Which so basically in the hospital they were just doing like water in the drip and they're telling you it was so expensive, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he was born a month earlier, and yeah, so he was a tiny little human being. And yeah, so he was in the incubator, and then I just saw him there and I fell in love with him. And yeah, he was so tiny. He was like 1.9 kgs. He was so tiny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have been in every single step of his life since then. So whenever I plan something, I always plan like with him in mind. Even like whenever we plan, I tell you, okay, I have to get home.
Yeah.
Because I'm a single dad. I live with him.
Yeah.
And even though like I have a nanny, my nanny is a day bug, so she gets to go home in the evening. And yeah, I always look forward to getting back home and just seeing him. And I travel quite often for work as well. And whenever I come back, the first thing I think of is, what am I going to bring him? And the joy I see when he comes like from school to the house and I'm there, and he just explodes into happiness.
Yeah.
And it's the best feeling. And also, like, I think I have separation issues with him, because even when I travel,
Yeah.
like I normally carry like his t-shirt or his sweater for the scent,
God.
and it feels so good,
Yeah.
and it feels so good, and I love it. I really love it.
Oh my God, these are the stories that just melt my heart.
I know, that's sweet. You know how they usually say that the person you are now is the kind of person you would have wanted growing up, showing up for you. So you're doing that for your kids, and you're fulfilling that bit for yourself and for him.
Yeah.
And I love it because my friends all know him, and they love him,
Yeah.
and they always, whenever they come, you can also see they know he's there, because they always bring him something when they come.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's good. That's good. I wanted to share like the first time we had a conversation, I got to know about it. Like, first time we had a conversation. So and I hope like people would be here to see how that radiates. Like someone can see it just from how he's expressing it, even from like your face. It's so amazing to see. It's so lovely. It makes me die for
You melt a little.
Yeah. What about you, Gina?
Well, for me, okay, so in my family, there's 5 of us. There's 5 siblings. Yeah. So the one thing Dad used to do every single time, also notes, my dad never caned us. We are Africans. He used to delegate that task to my mom, and that woman was a live wire. But I digress. So my dad, what he used to do was, how you can be in the house, mekula supper, and then he comes in at around 9:30, and then akona chipo. This is a memory every single one has. He would come in with goodies. And now, mom, the delegation starts. Finish your food, then eat. Finish and then eat. And then there's this.
Why were our mothers like
Because
there's that taboo. There's that taboo. It's like
and you remember,
and I think that's
you're eating cabbage.
Yeah, let's eat cabbage now. No garlic. And then there's chipo.
And then
That doesn't make sense because it's chipo.
So, there was that, and then there's growing up, my dad has always made it. You know how kids would ask for money?
Yeah.
So it was actually low. He would give you pesaya sadaka, but he'd give you excess. So spend a bit, donate, and then give the remaining amount. And then also growing up, the one thing I realized was anytime Kobole was a huge amount of money. 5 bob was a huge amount of money. So what he'd do is, I was the last one for a bit. I used to get like 10 shillings or 5 shillings. And then now my last born sister, when she was growing up, because we were the two last ones, he'd leave like 10 shillings split between the two. Now, when we asked, why do you like give, like, why do you leave? And he said, because we went to school in town, you're exposed to a lot of things. You're exposed to strangers. There was a lot of, there's a lot of issues like ish leaving your kid going to school in a far place. So he used to give us the excuse of, or the reason of, no one, if anyone asks you to go with them, and then watakununulia chipo, I will ask you, did you not have chipo from me? Did I not bring it for you? Now, anyone who tries to lie to you with money, I will just ask you, did you ask for money and I failed to give it to you? There's that. So that is the core memory and the lesson that my dad used to teach us. Every single time he'd provide for you so that no one out there would lie to you in the sense of, come nikubeye chipo. No, my dad buys us fries. Come, I'll give you money. No, my dad gives us money. So he gives you reasons not to be manipulated out there. So yeah, that's what stuck today.
Yeah, so it's like a form of protecting, but it's like protecting in a way that
You're learning from it.
yeah, you're learning from it. And he's like, it's the way people say, I'm gonna give my child anything so that when they get out there, they get a good man. They know what to look for. It kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Plus, you're girls, so I can imagine I don't know whether it feels different when you're a dad or a son, a dad of a girl. I'm not sure, but I feel like sometimes, or what I hear dads say when they have a girl is that it's more, these are form of like more protectiveness, mostly from other people, not like from maybe falling, but like from other people. So him being able to show that he can provide, it's a way of showing you that, protecting you from other people misusing you or like manipulating you, as you say.
And then he's setting a standard.
Yeah.
That anyone who tries to match up to that, like, no, I already have.
Chipoto.
Yeah.
Chipoto. Do better.
And there's something you said like about not being caned. Yeah. So me, I was caned. I was not abused, but I was caned.
Yeah.
And my mom was amazing. God bless her. Still is amazing. And so for me, I decided I'm not going to cane my child. And I figured, let me like teach him rather than him being scared of doing something. So that's how I raise him. Like I explain to him, like, you've done something wrong. Like this is what you've done wrong. Because now if you my thinking is, if you cane him, then he's scared. He's scared. He doesn't know what is wrong, but he's scared. So he'll do it again. Or he'll be afraid of expressing himself because he's scared of being beaten.
Or do it when you're not seeing it.
Yes. So, and of course, everyone has different ways which they want to raise their kids. But for me, I decided I didn't learn much from being beaten.
From all the time.
I was actually being rebellious. I was so rebellious. And I was the last one as well. So I was chaotic. So,
like Nani Chapa, let me show you. Okay, interesting. My fatherhood story. I think my dad, the biggest thing I learned from my dad is how he had such a vast group connectedness with people, and how he'd have people rally behind a mission and people to show up and do and contribute. People tell me that if you were still alive, you'd probably be an MP or something. Because he's the kind of people who would rally people towards a mission. He'd rally people, bring them together, do things together, connect you to people. I have seen my dad's friends, and I have my group of friends. He had like a huge group of friends, and there was still that connectedness. And I even saw them how they came through for each other. And I think that is like an amazing value to see and learn from him, on how he contributed to other people's lives. And when he needed help, I also saw them come through. I remember there's a time my dad was sick. He had gout. No, gout can be very painful. And my mom did not know exactly like how to go about it. And his friends came, took him to a hospital, paid for his surgery, brought him home, bought a supper for that night, stayed around, even bought him a cane without asking us for a shilling. And that was like out of this world. And I was little, but I could see like the intentionality behind people who you are never born with, how they can come through and contribute to someone's life in that manner. And that just shows maybe he also did that for them in other scenarios. Because I also remember there are times when he'd get called, maybe a friend is not feeling well, and he'll just get out and go and help them and stay with them for the period that they needed to. And that was amazing. That was amazing to see. We'd even do rotations on Easter. Like you'd go to this friend's house for Easter, then the next Christmas, this one. And those things that you do with family. But from my dad's end, I actually did that more with his friends' families. And so I think for me, what I learned, the hugest lesson I think I've learned from him, and we are starting with lessons, is the value of friendship, and what that signifies. And friendship, even like people that friends are people that you do not know, family that comes along the way, and having that such bond that, like if Gina called me at 2, we drop everything for Gina. For me, that is something I learned from my dad. Yeah. So we can get into lessons. So we can share lessons, and then, yeah. So we start from this sense.
Okay. So just to go back to what you said, the friendship bit. My dad, now this used to ache my mom to a certain degree, but my dad would meet his friends. Like, you can bump into your friend in town, and then like having a conversation, slight conversation. Then you tell him, I came to town trying to look for money. I didn't get money. I need to go home. Da, da, da. My dad, even if he has 200 shillings, he'll give you the entire amount. And then abaki bure. And then now he would look for means, because you'd ask him, if you're giving me the entire amount, what about you? He said, don't worry, I'll get some. I'll get the money. He was that giving. And then he'd walk on the street with sweets in his pocket, get a kid. Let me show you how he used to greet people. You know how you can shake, 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 shake. That's how every single kid he would meet on the road, he would greet, shake their hand, and then give them sweets. So now the lessons that I learned from my dad, because he used to sit us, all of us in the house, teach us about life, teach us about the stories that happened before, is don't fear man. That's the one thing he used to say. The only person you fear is God. Don't fear man. We're raised in church, and to be honest, I went to Sunday school up to 14 years. I know. I know. I know. Oh, and I also didn't wear trousers up to Form 1. I used to wear shorts, not trousers. Yeah, my mom was a tailor. This cuts every single time. So I'd wear shorts. I didn't like trousers.
Yeah.
I wore trousers when I got to Form 1. But my dad, by the way, is the one who introduced trousers to us. If my mom was given that chance, we would have been wearing dresses and skirts throughout. But key thing, remember she's a tailor? A cap on crochet. Yes. So my dad, he raised us in church. And then the one thing he said was, don't fear man. Because if the minute you start fearing man, you forget God. So we're raised in church. There's so many things sometimes, like in real sense, it does make sense. If you fear God, you don't fear man. I'd just say that is the lesson that we learned.
And I think when I hear that in my mind, it relates to be yourself. show up as yourself, like, because most times when we are trying to please people, it comes from a pair of perception of what they'll think, and I think maybe he just wanted you guys to fully be who you need to be, which is a bit different from my end. At some point, I felt like my dad wanted me to be like what he saw maybe from his friends' children or something of the sort. Because today I was actually watching something that said you can't have a 100% memory. But one of the things that I remember, I started wanting to shave when I was really young. And at that time, my mom had already passed. My mom passed first, and then my dad. And when I told him I want to shave, it became a whole debate. And he even went and told, he started telling me, when you shave, this is how people say, or trying to have other people convince me not to shave. And I think because of rebellion, I actually went and shaved. He actually gave me 1 week to think about it. And I just went and shaved. And then by the time he was coming back home, I had already shaved. And so for me, I think from the other perspective is now for me has never thought like now be yourself, and I've had to like establish that for myself over a period of time. But I think what your dad said was very, and I can see that from you actually. You're usually ruthlessly yourself, ruthlessly, like she's extremely if you want honesty.
And there's one more thing before I forget is, you remember the statement you said that fathers try to protect their girls from the environment. That happened in class 4. I got a teacher fired. Now this was, I don't say, that's a bad word, but he was not behaving with girls, yes, appropriately. So I told my mom, and then I told my mom, "Usiambie baba." She did. And the next day I'm being called to the head teacher's office with my colleagues, who I said even they went through it. And then we called to like testify. And then my dad told the headmistress, "He's fired. He gets out of this school or he will never teach again." So he was removed from the school. And that has happened, like the way he comes through for the kid, even for my sister in high school. She was suspended it was a mixed school, suspended for holding hands with a boyfriend. Do I know mixed school? Catholic. So so she was suspended, and then my dad. But then he was broke. He was very broke. He didn't have, Esther was black and broke. My dad was broke. He put on a very nice suit, told my sister, dress up uniform, we're going to school. So it was a private school. Went to school with my sister, and then in the principal's office, he said, "Why did you send my daughter home? Do you know I can simply take my daughter out of this school, take her to Alliance right now, pay the school fees." He had arrears, pay the school fees. "If you send my daughter home again, do you think this is the only school? Do you know who I am?" She stayed. She was not suspended ever again. So there's that, showing up for your kid and being the bigger person in that, like making sure, like you're the Simba. It was nice. It was nice. Like you knew he'd have your back. Kwa nyumba, it's another story. You get the chaotic like reprimands verbally, but he would defend you. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And it gives you comfort. And I was reading somewhere like the best relationship is knowing that there's someone that person that you're in relation with can come through for you anytime. Like that gives you some level of comfort that I feel gives you the opportunity to fully show up. Yeah, I think that was amazing. What about you, Alpha?
Well, what
Unless
I normally try to teach my son is first empathy. Because first of all, kids can be brutal to each other. Kids are brutal. If you hear
one boy can tell us,
kids tell each other like, "You don't have this in your house, we do have this in our house." Kids can be brutal. So I normally tell him, if you hear someone saying that, just tell them it's not right. And he gets it, because like even sometimes, like when we're walking in the streets and there's like a street kid, like when we get home, he asks me like, can we go and take them home? And I'm like, no, we can't. And then also just being there for him, knowing that he can tell me anything, because the world is a brutal place as well. And just being there for him and being like his comfort, where he can say, okay, I'm going through something, I want to share with my dad. Like I'd be the first person he'd think about when he's going through something. Like my dad, go to him. So that's the kind of environment I try to create for him, and also like connecting with him and not ignoring his emotions. Because normally we are like, hey, we're supposed to be tough.
You are bridging the gap that we lacked growing up.
Yeah, so for me, I'm like, I want to be there, like even emotionally for him. Like whenever I see him, I ask him like, okay, what's going on? Even if it's the most flimsiest of things, and he tells me, and we go through it together.
So I'll share a lesson that I learned from my dad. But I wouldn't say exactly directly from my dad. I think from an experience of me seeing him lose my mom. And I think we really underestimate. I think it was hard for him. Way harder than I think people would think. And him being left with also two girls to raise alone, I think that was quite hectic, and kind of taught me how to be. I think seeing him in that place made me learn how to be graceful or gracious. And I think more now that I'm learning about these things is realizing that at that point he needed more grace as a parent from a child. And I think when I was a child, there are certain things I feel like I was angry about my dad, mostly after my mom passed, because now we had to, I think our moms are, I feel like my mom was there. It was like my first touch point, anything first to my mom. Yes, I had a good relationship with my dad. Actually, one of the other things I've remembered used to do with my dad was anytime you'd go buy shoes or something or clothes, my dad would never let you settle for something that you don't like. You see how you're kids and you're just like, ni sawa tu, utachukua hii. You'd be like, no, are you happy with it? You say no, to the next shop, to the next shop. You not get until you get something that you like it's what you want. So that mkitoka hapo, pia msiulizane maswali nyingi. And I used to like that a lot. But now when my mom was not there, we had to sort a lot of like house stuff and msichana wa kazi, and work was not going well, and then he became sick, and it was so much happening, and I did not know how to handle, and he did not know how to handle. So we clashed a lot. And I think looking back, now that I learned a bit more about grief, I've learned a bit more about the kind of impact. Also, like being with my mom when she was sick all through for like 2 years or so. My mom had cancer, and what that had, and that impact that it had with, on him. At that point, no one cares. Everyone is like, you need to show up as a parent. You need to do what you need to do. And I understand he was an adult in this story, but grace, being gracious. And I think he did the best he could in that kind of situation with all that he was going through. So I feel like when I think about him now, I don't think it had allowed me to get a nose ring, but but I feel like he would have really taught me to go to the best of the best. I even tell people, even when I come to high school, I don't think he'd allowed me to go to I went to St. George's. I think he would have forced me to go to a national school because I had the marks. because for him it was about you have to be the best at whatever you do. I'd bring home a report card. This can be good or bad. And you'd be like, oh yes, they have performed good, but you really need to improve on 1, 2, 3 things. You need to make sure also this is at par. And I think also my wanting to do good comes maybe from that. It's like, okay, I'm good at this, but I need to also work at this. And I think that kind of work ethic, I got it definitely, from my dad. Yeah.
Okay.
What did Warren, what have you not having your dad around taught you about life? And from you observing your dad, what did his life teach you about life and what success means? Yeah. You've gotten the questions?
Go back again.
What does the absence of your dad taught you about life? And what has what you seeing him and observing him taught you about success? And I think for you is also his absence taught you about success in life, and mostly also as a dad, how are you presenting success? What success looks like for your child? Because everyone wants to be successful, and successful means very many different things. And I think our parents always mirrored what success should look like for us, and I think we end up that's how we show up, and those are the things that we strive for when you grow up, because we were told first get an A, you strive, got an A, you need to get a job, you got it. But that was what they showed us, or they showed us as success, and also that's what registers as success for them. So yeah, I'd want to hear your thoughts on that. We can start here.
What was the first one?
The absence.
The absence. For me, it was a bit strange because, I mean, in school, and when people were like, oh yeah, I don't have a dad, it was like they were struggling, because dads were like the breadwinners.
Yeah.
Back then. I don't like saying this, but for me, like, I didn't grow up in struggles. Like, I never lacked anything, and I think I grew up privileged. I'm always thankful for that. And so for me, I always put myself under so much pressure that I don't want my son to lack anything. I have been like in a place where I like literally almost had nothing, like when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And like I lost my job like 2 months after my son was born, and it was tough. It was tough, and that time I didn't know how to reach out to people. So what happened was, like, when now he got to an age where he was to start playing with toys. I didn't have anything. So what he used to do, you see this yogurt cup, with the one that has a kifuniko. Then I put like keys inside, then he'd shake it. Then I tell myself, ile siku nitapata ka kitu, man, huyu ataona. So, and I think when now I got back to working, I think I overdid it, and I still think I overdo it, because he has so many. He has too many toys, by the way, and I struggle a bit to find the balance between like what is enough and what is overdoing. Yeah. But then again, it's just that for me, the lesson is like not lacking, because I never lacked. So for me, it's always like, why should he? So I think I put myself under pressure, good pressure, that is. And that's why, like, I put in the hours that I normally do, like, especially for work and my side hustles. I overdo them. And on a personal level, I try as much to, since I didn't have like my dad there, I try to be there for him, like, as I said, like, all the time, in all the steps, whatever he's doing, like, the compliments that come with it, the no's that come with it, and also like explaining to him what a mistake is, you know, rather than, you know, atafunzwa na ulimwengu. No,
Yeah.
I'm here.
That's why you're there.
I will
The
play
representative
ulimwengu's
of the
role.
world.
Yeah, I will play ulimwengu's role, because
Yeah.
I always feel like for us, we were left to like
Figure it out.
yeah, figure it out. But I want to show him like, this is right, this is not right. You know?
Yeah.
And then also give him options. Like if he likes something, well and good. If he doesn't like it, I don't force him.
Yeah.
Because we were forced. Ni he or he.
Niskuma mulale njaa.
So I also yeah. Yeah, especially that eating thing.
Yeah.
Like, for me, when he says he's full, why should you force him to eat more?
Yeah. And actually, I was listening to something sorry about that, about teaching our kids to trust themselves and how they feel. Because I think as adults currently, and I don't know whether you guys struggle, but I know one of the things I sometimes struggle is trusting that what I think, I feel, and I'm experiencing is true to me. Because you tell your parent you're full, you tell them, no, you have to finish.
Yeah.
So for you, it's about finishing. It's not about you being full. You know, or you fall down, then they tell you, si uchungu, you know, work it out. And so when you're actually in a place of pain now, you're debating, am I actually in pain as an adult? Am I actually angry? Because when you got angry, that was a problem. You could not express that anger, you know, and when you teach our kids to know how to identify their emotions and say them and express them, it also builds trust within themselves, and you're not constantly doubting yourself whether am I angry or not, or, you know, yeah. And I like that.
And there's also one thing which I normally joke about with my friends.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, when you were kids, and it wasn't a bad thing. That's just how even people who do like skits nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, utaambiwa kwenda uko na hiyo kichwa kubwa wewe, toka hapa, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, no, me, I'll tell you, you look handsome.
Yeah.
You look beautiful, and you know,
affirm it.
Yeah, like affirm it so that he doesn't go to look for it somewhere else. As you said, you know, like don't go to seek, you know, validation or, you know, from somewhere else. You know, you'll get it from home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you take it outside.
Yeah, and for you're forming that baseline for them, because you know everything. Even when you're doing a research, usually a baseline that you start with, and I think the baseline being that you're handsome, despite what everyone else will say, the baseline always holds you together. You know, yeah. Gina, sorry,
now I'm done.
Oh,
The one thing that I learned in my dad's absence is sorting out things for yourself is hard. Sorting out things for yourself is hard, man. So, because he used to do everything, like even in hospitals, we didn't queue. We're just going to the hospital. He's a friend of which doctor? You come. Go into the hospital, go to the consultation. Like everything was just, like, there's no, there's a gap just from here to there. It was always direct. But then after he passed is when you realize there's a procedure to things you're supposed to do. There's some things you don't know you need to sort out. it was tough. And then what was that other thing? Aside from making it easy, growing up, I would say I tell my dad I want this or this is needed at school, and then he'd sort it out. What I'd do is I'll tell him this night, because in the morning I'm going to school. He'll bring it by the end of tomorrow night. So I used to know if I ask for it, if it's reasonable, if it makes sense, I'll get it. So after he passed, that's when the real world came crashing in. Like you can ask for something and you don't get it. So what I actually learned the hard way, not expecting or making a promise you're not going to fulfill from people. I usually say, if I ask for something from you and you genuinely don't have it and you don't have any means to get it, tell me you can't or you don't have it. Kuliko, you tell me, no worries, I'll look for it for you. And then I'll block off any other option I have, narrow down on you, and then you won't deliver. That usually just crashes me. So I learned from, actually, this is after high school because my dad passed when I was in Form 4. So that is, the persistent, that's the word, before you get into the world, you just finished. Yeah. So I learned that the hard way, not to rely on other people for things. Like if you want something, people lie, just do it yourself. Yeah.
I think just like you, I've had those experiences, man. Losing my parents like threw me to wake up quickly.
Grow up fast.
Grow up quick.
Yeah.
And actually the other day I went to hospital and then there's this nurse, and this is the first time I've ever had a nurse like ask me very, I'd say, personal questions. I know they ask us about internal personal questions, but these are like very personal questions. She asked me about my parents, whether they're like disease within the family.
Yeah.
I told her my parents are not there. She asked me why, meaning, told her, and then she was like, growing up must have been hard. And for the first time, I felt like someone recognizes that. And actually, my response was, yeah, it was, but there were people, but she said it is never the same. And for the first time, I felt someone saw me.
Yeah.
Like she understood that, because sometimes you feel like you're not allowed to say that it was difficult. Because the fact that there were people around who supported you, it feels like you cannot say it was actually difficult. That the fact that my parents were not here.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the absence of my dad mostly, I think me being able to, even after my mom passed, I don't feel like I had to deal with the things that I had to deal with. But until my dad passed, then that's when it was like, things, things just,
Like you're
like then this person is removed. It's like you've opened another can of worms.
Yeah.
And this person was just there, was the top.
Yeah.
Like they are the ones who are keeping things together. Yeah, everything is just out there. And unfortunately, mostly as a kid, you just need to rise to the occasion of being able to deal with these things, and most times you're not equipped to handle them. And I think for me also, because the fact that I was with my dad, he also didn't know how to process his grief for those 2 years that we were with him before he passed away. And then now I'm thrown into this thing. I think it was one of the hardest periods, I think, for me in my life, and right now as an adult, I think one of the things I miss, or I wish that my dad would be around for, is I think a bit of guidance. I feel like I need a lot of that kind of father figure guidance in my life. To just sometimes also just help us align. You need someone to just be like, yo.
Yeah, you know what Gina was saying, that like her dad was like hands-on.
Yeah.
Like, anywhere you go. And there's some things like you'd go through and akwambia enda kwa huyu.
Yeah.
Unataka hii?
Unataka
hii? Enda kwa huyu. Like referrals.
Yeah.
Guidance and like just a path.
Yeah. Because I saw him like open different paths for different people, like even jobs and stuff. Yeah. And I knew, right now you don't have a job. You're just like, God, bring him back on this moment in my life,
He would get you through that door, onto that desk. No questions asked, no struggles. Yeah.
So as we wrap this up, I want us to say a word to the dad out there dads who usually celebrate moms in very different ways, who wanted to be moms, who are about to be moms, and all that. So I want us to share words, something you appreciate dads for, and just a word of encouragement. Yeah, and you can start from here because you're a dad, so you can easily.
You can start with me.
Yeah, we can start with you and celebrate you. Maybe say, we're first listening to you. I know we have had conversations, but I feel like listening to you and seeing you talk about your son, just like you're bringing in a different aspect of fatherhood that I think a lot of people don't relate to. When we were planning this episode, we started thinking, who can we invite to talk about different aspects of fatherhood? And every time we'd say, oh, and about this one, oh, I think they have a rough relationship with their dad. Oh, but this, oh, that's a touchy subject for this one. And
Yeah.
and I realize a lot of people have quite strained relationship with their dads. But I think the dads that we are currently seeing now is hands-on present dads. And people might say, but that's their work and stuff like that. But I think even you making that choice to want to be a present dad and doing it and actualizing it is something to be appreciated for.
Yeah, and it's not funny, but it's a thing where I also have friends who are like not present dads. Like they are not involved in any way in the kids'
Yeah.
life. Of course, they have their reasons,
Yeah.
but I feel like some of them, I realized at some point they were like substituting my kid with theirs, because like they'll just call me randomly, hey, uko home? Asa, acha nipitie tu. Then they'll come and they'll bring him like toys, and then I'm like, eh. Then at some point you meet like their kids' moms, and they're like, eh, mi mtoto wangu hata hana toy. And I'm like, I have like so many toys which this guy has brought,
Yeah.
So there's also that, and
Yeah.
people never talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's discussion for another day.
Yeah. So we appreciate you. Happy
Thank
Father's
you.
Day. I wish we had a cake, but continue
Yeah, but for me,
figuring out the journey. Yeah. And we are here for it. We are here to see it. Yeah.
I think like nowadays, what you said, like there are so many strained relationships that when people find like someone who's like really involved, it's like, oh my god, like you're that,
Yeah.
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 So, and of course, there are so many wonderful dads
That's out there.
out there who
Yeah.
every single day they go through what our dads went through, like
Yeah. Yeah.
going to tafuta and being there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a beautiful, for me it's one of the best things that has ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Actually, the best.
Oh.
Yeah.
Something that has just come to mind is, and I think my last word for dads is people want to become dads, and also standing with those who lost their kids,
Yeah.
and just say that it's okay to figure it out. It's like the journey of you being a dad. It's not straightforward, and it's okay to figure out what fatherhood looks like,
Yeah,
and
it
not
is.
feel like you need to be, because men, they are in our society. It's like you should be able to do this, provide security, and I think fatherhood is one of those journeys that is unclear.
Yeah.
And sometimes being a dad, you might feel like, because it's not very clear about this, let me step into things that I'm clear about, which is provision and security and stuff like that, because this part I am not really sure. And I think allow yourself to just figure out what fatherhood look like for you, and be ready to learn in the process. It's not always as clear. Yeah. And we are here and we love you, and thank you for the amazing work you're doing and impacting children in your lives.
Actually, it's true. They sometimes dads don't realize that there's a very huge impact you're leaving on your kids, whether it's a girl child or a boy child. But there's a very huge impact for boys. There's this example there's this golf. I don't know his name. He plays golf and goes to the court with his kid. The kid also plays golf. He's, I think, 10, 11 years. All the mannerisms from the dad, the kid does. Because just because you're not teaching them that actively does not mean they're not watching you do it. So there's the way you impact your kid's life, the way you show up to make them show up in a certain way. And regarding fatherhood, like you've said, it's an uncertain path. The one thing you have to do is just show up. That's just it. And yeah, you are breaking, what do you call this? Generational trauma. You are breaking it down, because the things that you're doing for your kids, in as much as I did not have a negative relationship with my dad, but there's people who have strenuous relationship with their fathers, and what you're describing now, there's validating the feelings, there's just showing up. That one is very nice. That one helps a lot. Oh, and everyone, that is Alpha's son. He's the one we were talking about. So yeah, I am proud of you. Honestly, I've met you today, but I am proud of what you're doing for your kid, and it is commendable. And happy Father's Day. Stop. So that's commendable, and happy Father's Day to you. And for those who are planning to have kids, it's not as hard. I'd like to think. I'd just say you show up. I'd like to think because it's an uncertain thing for everyone. Yeah, but just showing up is the first step, and then everything falls in line just as you go. Yeah.
Like any other part of life, you just figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can tell us. We are assuming you have zero experience.
I take it a day at a time.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. This has been amazing. I have loved the conversation. I feel like you've talked for 10 minutes. And I'm there. Our director is like, yo, shut up. Shut it up.
I know. But thank you for the invitation. I'm always happy to talk about life and being a dad.
Yeah.
And anything. I mean, life has so many spectrums. And I'll be happy to be back.
Thank you. Welcome, Alexis, to our podcast.
The next time you're the one coming in,
you'll come say something, right?
Say your name and how old you are.
My name is Alexis and I'm 7 years old.
Ooh, nice. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah. Drop mic. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for the support. Make sure that you follow us at we_r_fio on all social media pages, and make sure you hit the subscription button and the notification bell so that anytime you release such fantastic episodes, you get notified. And also on Spotify, you can actually there's a plus up there. Hit that so that you also get notified on Spotify. Thank you so much, guys, and it's a wrap. Bye.
Bye.